Good evening, friends. We will start just in 2 minutes, maybe at 5:02. We'll start. Good evening, friends. Hope you all are fine and doing good. I pray to God for everybody's health and well-being. This is unprecedented time for all of us, and at least our generation has never seen such a difficult time. People are dying in all countries, and human race is not able to do much. What we can do as individuals, I think let's discuss this here. Let me share my views on this. First of all, I feel let's discuss the word that is going now a lot. We are hearing it, quarantine. This word came from Italy, and its origin is quarantina, that means 40. The first use of the word quarantine dates back to the early 14th century. It was used to save coastal cities from epidemics. Ships arriving in Venice from infected ports were required to sit at anchor for 40 days before landing. Ever since then, quarantine has been used to fight off epidemics like cholera, yellow fever, and more. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended the lockdown till May 3rd. That will mark the 48th day of isolation. Mr. Modi said that India will also keep a keen eye on possible hotspot, and prevent the creation of new hotspot of this killer disease. For the next 2 weeks, we need to be very cautious, strictly inside our homes or wherever we are staying, hostels or hostel rooms, to fight with this deadly virus. Just a food for thought, in our highly interconnected world, is it possible to run away from a pandemic? This is the first question I pondered after seeking refuge in my house. And I would like to tell you a story. And the story goes to Mesopotamian times. Maybe some of our foreign friends are aware about this. And the story name is Appointment in Samara. According to the story, a merchant in Baghdad sent his servant to the marketplace for provisions. Soon afterwards, the servant ran in, white as a sheet. He said, "Master, just now in the marketplace, I just jostled by a woman in the crowd. When I looked closer, I realized that it was Death, who made a threatening gesture towards me. Trembling with fear, the servant asked the merchant to let him borrow his fastest horse so he could flee to Samara, a town more than 100 kilometers from Baghdad, where he believed Death would not reach. Sometime later, a bit annoyed but also curious, the merchant walked to the marketplace and found death. He asked her why she made such a threatening gesture. She replied, "It was only a sign of great surprise. I was astonished to see him in Baghdad, for I have an appointment with him tonight in Samara." This story founds its marks when we hear someone known to us has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. So much for our own attempt at running away. But can we really? If we can note what we can do as a human being. And this is my firm belief, no one can escape death. No one can escape anything that is happening. But we can make an effort to delay it. That is why the government of so many countries are restricting people's movement. They want everyone to isolate themselves and to engage in social distancing. These measures are responsible steps, are reasonable steps to diminish the contagion and lessen the pressure on health systems that are already overburdened globally. But from a psychological perspective, how do these measures affect people? In terms of work, the house arrest isn't necessarily a problem and may actually be a welcome development for the people those are office goers and working in the back office. For office workers can by and large continue as before, with the main difference that they save themselves and trouble and cost of the commuting. For others, the situation is far more an issue. We should keep in mind that Homo sapiens is first and foremost a social animal. A large body of research has shown that socially active people tend to have higher levels of physical and psychological well-being. As humans, we have a strong need for social inclusion. With all social gatherings prohibited, loneliness is sure to raise its ugly head. For some people, this sense of isolation will be extremely stressful. What aggravates the situation is the fact that in times of crisis, human beings like to come together to share experiences, show solidarity, and help each other. Without any doubt, this time of crisis has arrived as the coronavirus pandemic threatens people's lives and livelihoods. It is exactly during such crises that we need social support the most. Togetherness can protect us against the negative impact that these events can have on our mental health. Therefore, what is asked from us, although absolutely necessary in greater scheme of things, is exactly the opposite of what we human beings normally do. The stress and anxiety is also creating in some people a fair amount of paranoia, a very rational reaction to feeling threatened by this invisible enemy around us. Unfortunately, paranoia compounds the distancing effect, adding fuel to the fire, staying connected with others, but also ourselves. Hopefully, many of us have close family members who can serve as a buffer to minimize potential stress reactions. Nevertheless, the coronavirus pandemic provides an ideal opportunity to reconnect and strengthen relationship with the family, relatives, and friends. Many of us are trying to stay connected through calls, text, emails, and other various virtual means. These alternatives way of remaining in contact can contribute to a sense of togetherness. These means may be especially important to people who live alone, like our foreign friends. With fewer resources to draw upon, individuals may experience serious stress reaction. So WOSI, World Organization for Student and Youth, has started regular calls, Zoom meetings, Skype meetings with foreign students. We are trying to reach as maximum student as possible regularly. Our various chapters and volunteers are regularly involved in these calls. And I request and encourage you all to talk to each other as much as possible in this difficult time. On the positive side, social isolation might be a never seen before opportunity to practice greater self-reflection. As we have been conditioned all our lives to run from one lecture to another or one appointment to another appointment, it has become far too easy to run away from ourselves. For example, embarking an inner journey, hopefully whenever possible with a virtual guide, can be a great learning experience. It implies discovering what we stand for and finding out our strengths, our weakness, our values, our belief, our desire, or generally speaking, the major scripts in our inner theater. While on this inner journey, we can try to work out what makes us laugh and do more of it. We should work out what makes us cry and do less of it. We should work out what makes us happy and do little more. For one example of interpersonal reflectivity, listen to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo speaking about his daughter who had been in quarantine for 2 weeks. He said, "To tell you the truth, I had some of the best conversations with her that I have ever had. We talked about things in depth that we didn't have time to talk about in the past, or we didn't have the courage or the strength to talk about in the past, feeling I had about mistakes I had made along the way that I wanted to express my regret and talk through with her. As the caterpillar needs to transform within its cocoon before it emerges as a butterfly, likewise, such a journey of reflectivity may have a great transformative impact. And most probably, we need this capacity for change, as the world will not be the same as before after the passing of the coronavirus. As the well-known psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once said, when we are no longer able to change the situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." So let me tell you the story of Dr. Viktor Frankl. This is very inspiring story and maybe fit for this kind of situation. This is the story of Second World War. Millions of people were sent to jail. They were being tortured very badly, physically and mentally. They were alone in these prison camps. Their friends and relatives were dying in front of them without proper food and medication. Prisoners had started feeling that they will also die sooner or later. Some of them were dying even with mental shock. Psychiatrist Dr. Viktor Frankl was also a prisoner in one of the camps. Dr. Viktor also faced all these tortures, and he was just observing and experiencing all this trauma. He wrote, while he was in the jail or in these so-called camps, he wrote a very famous book that named as Man's Search for Meaning. This book was translated in more than a dozen languages and millions of copies were sold. We are also locked in our houses and facing a lot of difficulty due to this coronavirus. But the difficulties faced by these prisoners were brutal. Dr. Viktor family also was with him when he was sent to these camps. But all family members died in front of him slowly, one by one. In his book, Victor narrates an incident. Another prisoner who was also in the same camp with Dr. Victor saw a dream about his release in February end. He saw a light in the dream. That light announces, please ask whatever you want to ask. The prisoner inquired about his release from this camp, and he got the answer that he will be released on 31st of March. After hearing this voice, he became certain that he will be released on 31st of March. This was his hope. But as the date approaches, he realized that he is not going to be free, and he became ill on 28th of March, and eventually he died on 31st of March. On the top, it seemed that he was died due to his illness, but Dr. Victor was aware of the real reason, the real cause. And the real cause was his lost hope. He had lost his all hope of this life. So the biggest lesson of this book that Doctor narrates, we shall not be killed by any problem, by betrayal, by challenges, but by lost hope. Victor states that if a person does not have hope or a big dream about the life, he will not live longer. Victor experienced a pattern in camp that most of the people died between Christmas and New Year. He explains the reason. Everyone was living with this hope when the festivals will come, the authorities will release them. But when the Christmas approaches and it passed, they realize that they are not going to release. Their hope broken, and the most of the deaths happen in that camp was between Christmas and the New Year. Dr. Victor adds, I could survive these camps because I had a big dream for life. I was writing a book, and I had to complete this book in any case. So even after so many atrocities, after so many difficulties, I could survive due to my hope and my dream about the life. Whenever a person hopes died, then his immune system becomes weak. And if immune system is weak, then one can die even due to very small disease. So we all should have a big hope. This too shall pass. This is a difficult time, this will pass, and the good time will come. There should be a hope, a big goal as a student we should have for the life that will give us energy. Dr. Victor further says, whenever we get ill, our body becomes weak, but our mind is very powerful. We cannot allow our mind to become weak. So have a big dream about future, and so empathy to others. Do good to others. Don't see much negative news, how many died, what is happening. Just have an overview. Stay positive. Watch, stay think. Have something good in life. Follow your routine. So this routine or whatever we are doing religiously will take us through from this difficult time. Another interesting thing he writes in his book is whenever we face any problem, everything will depend on the perspective. What kind of meaning we are giving to the problem. It may be negative or it may be positive. Outcome of the problem will depend on the meaning that we are giving to the problem. He quotes an example. Imagine we are going somewhere and we are just rushing towards our car. When we reach to the car, we found the tire of the car is punctured. So we may get angry, we may have different kind of feeling. We may have all kind of negativity because we are late. But he says, let's give it a different meaning. Let's give it a different perspective. Imagine you are running car with a 60 kilometer per hour, 80 kilometer per hour, and then this tire got punctured or the outburst. Can you imagine what can happen if the tire punctures at that time? So here we are just getting 10-15 minutes delayed of changing the tire. So it all depends what kind of positive meaning or the negative meaning we are giving, how we are making ourselves understand about the situation. So I suggest always give a positive meaning to any problem in life. And this pandemic is also one of them. You have a lifetime opportunity, friends, to stay at home at one place and no one is asking you to go out. You can do a lot of things that you have never done. Nature is healing if you see the positive side. Air is getting cleaner day by day. Earth is becoming a better place to live each day passing. If we change our perspective a little bit, then we shall realize that there is a lot of good things are happening in this pandemic around us. In this world, nothing is permanent or certain. So obviously this pandemic too shall pass. After this COVID-19, world is going to change and we cannot predict the future, but of course we can try with best of our ability. The prediction that we can have what is going to happen so that we could make ourselves ready. We could make ourselves prepared, well prepared for the situation. I'll tell you one incident where we feel this is going to happen certainly. If I ask you what is the length of a test match in cricket, we all know it is a 5-day test match. But initially it was not the case. When this game started, it was even till 1970s. There was no time limit for the test match. So the result was always obvious. The result had to come. Either one side will win or the second side will win. But there was a game played in 1938. It was between South Africa and England. It happened in Durban. The game started on 6th March 1938 and continued until the 14th March, 9 days in total. At that time, there was no 5-day test match. And it was timeless, we can say. But on 10th day, when the 9-day finish, England needed 41 runs to win at the close of 9th day. But the match was drawn. Because the English players had to leave to catch their boat back to England. Ship was fueled on these days by the steam, and once the steam used to be ready, ship could not stay. So the team had to leave. So the England team left and the match was drawn. So nothing is certain. If a match where we all know the result were supposed to be either the England will win or the South Africa will win, but it was a draw match even after the 9 days. We are human beings and we always must be positive and prepared because we don't know what is going to happen. So let's visualize with best of our ability how the life is going to be after COVID-19. What will be the new normal for a student point of view? Let me give you some insights. The distance between theory and application will be reduced. Apprenticeship stints will become more concurrent. Maybe half a day theory and then the practice maybe in lab or virtual labs. So this is going to change for the students. Most of the classes will be online, and this will be a new normal. Employers may not be able to give long-term orientations due to heavy cost and ever-changing environment. Plug-and-play kind of resources will be in demand. Right now, companies are hiring and giving them training. So if companies are asking for the plug-and-play kind of resources, it means training while we are studying will increase. So the course curriculum will be changed in coming days drastically because it will be demanded from the industry. The continuum of intent to initiative will become complete with impact. So impact will be measured of any initiatives. And for any initiative that industry will be taking, the impact will be cash generation. What kind of cash particular initiative is generating, that will be the main capture factor of any initiative. So it also suggests companies will not spend more on the trainings for newcomers. Another prediction is that a lot of reports are suggesting, and even we can visualize it, the state will become a major player, which will make living less expensive, across and affordable. The balance will be tilting in favor of common good rather than individual exuberance. This also means that there will be a normalization of salary across all roles, across industries in near term. This will also lead to low entry-level salary for students. There will be more correlation between hard work and payout and smart work and payout. So the hours of work will also increase substantially. Like if you are working now 8 hours a day, it may come 10 hours a day because there will be less manpower and hard work will be required. We all should be ready to learn new skills because 2 or 3 careers in lifetime will be a new normal. One cannot stay in one cannot survive with one skill. They cannot follow it whole life. Strategy and ideation will be a limited and restricted activity, at least for a few years. Working will be process-based and processes will be part of college curriculum. More companies will come to India after this COVID-19. So process-based manufacturing jobs will increase. Some of the industries that will take very big hit will be tourism, aviation and maritime, automobile, construction, real estate, manufacturing, financial services, oil and gas. So in these industries, job cuts will happen or the new jobs will not come. That is for sure. But few industries will grow: agriculture, e-commerce, ICT, personal and healthcare, food processing and retail, and medical supply and service. They are going to grow. So the people with these skills will be required. A lot of jobs will come in these kind of industries. As we have discussed, the uncertainty is the key. Uncertainty is going to happen. And the uncertainty of the events will be a new normal. So the business environment will be VUCA based. This is the acronym that is VUCA. It means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The environment will be with the all 4 dimensions. We will not be able to predict. So what we will do in these kind of situations? We need to follow certain process to deal with this. And one of the process or one of the tool to fight with these kind of situation is VUCA prime. VUCA prime is, if we want to fight with uncertainty, we can fight it out with understanding of the thing that we want to do or the task that we want to achieve. Second is complexity that can be fought or dealt with the clarity in our thoughts. And the answer to ambiguity is agility. And if we want to fight uncertainty, understanding of the whole situation is required. And this understanding will come through a certain process. As a company, as an industry, or as an individual, and of course as a student, we need to follow certain process. And that process is we called 5E model of process discipline. How we take decision. It includes the 5E. It has first is engage, explore, explain, execute, and evaluate. So like I said, we should have all big dream, a big goal. So first stage is let's engage about this goal or the dream. We should have discussion with lot more people. Let's engage with the people with all kind of resources that we can have. Let's have everything on the table. And once we are engaged with lot of people, then explore. What is this doing for us, or what particular person can help in particular situation to us? Explore the situation, explore everything, note it down, make notes. And once you are explored, then explain it to yourself. Is this good? And if it is good, why it is good? If it is not good, why it is not good? Make proper notes, write it down, and then come to the conclusion. Once you have explained it to yourself, you have note down all the data, then execute. You can get success, you cannot get success. Whatever is the case, evaluate yourself, evaluate the performance, because this will help you in the future working. And this should be a continuous process. You cannot do it for one project and then forget about it. But make it a habit, do it religiously and regularly. Keep your notes, follow a certain process, and then you will mitigate or minimize the risk of failing. This evaluation will be very useful in future. Make notes and act accordingly. Be hopeful, be positive, have long-term goals, be agile. You should be able to change your plans as per the new information. Help others and make this world a better place to live. Before I finish this session, I would like to read something for you that I received in a WhatsApp group from one of my friend, Jeff, from Taiwan. He is heading Dow Jones, a very big company in Taiwan. And he was with me in my college days. He wrote, we were discussing what is globally happening and how we can support each other. So he wrote this message in the group. I'm just reading it out for you. In Taiwan, we started to build up medical face mask production line from January. The capacity increases from 2 million per day to 15 million per day now. Taiwan is globally number 2 face mask production country now. So in Taiwan, everyone could get 9 face masks every 14 days. People cautiously use these face masks. So we are okay now. When we watch the news and many hospitals all over the world don't have enough protection, we feel sad. So most of the people in Taiwan volunteer to donate these masks to support these medical institutes to help humanity. Our government is building the system for people to donate their mask. Although our donation cannot support everyone in the world, but if we could support the hospitals, it could help the hospitals not to crash and they could serve more people. If you see the crisis in your country, Please urge your government to connect or contact Taiwan government. We should support each other to get through this crisis. Stay safe and stay healthy. I just want to tell you this story because this story has a meaning. This story is giving a message that we are not alone. You are not alone. Countries are helping countries. Societies are helping societies. And individuals are helping individuals in this very much difficult time, I would say. So let's do our bit to help each other. I urge again to all volunteers, all friends, please stay in touch with each other. And if you feel like, please join our weekly calls, Zoom meetings, and feel free to get in touch with us anytime through our web page, Twitter handle, or you can reach us or through our email IDs. We have also launched some helpline numbers. You can contact us. And WOSI is always there to support you. And you know our motto, Vasudev Kutumbakam. And in these kind of situations, we feel this whole world has become a family. We are caring each other. And I'm repeating again, and I'll finish here with the same shlok that I have said in Mysore conference. Ayam bandhur, ayam netir gananalag jit sham. Udara charita nam tu Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So at last, namaste to all. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive, and stay inside the home. Thank you. Thanks a lot.